Jax's revenge domain. I knew the exact moment the company was dead in the water. It wasn't when the stock dipped, and it wasn't when they replaced the break room coffee with some organic sludge that tasted like motor oil mixed with disappointment. It was the moment Quinn Bradshaw walked through those glass doors. The name's Wesley Harper, but everyone calls me Wes. I'm 49, been working tech since the Navy taught me how to keep communication systems running on destroyers that were older than some of my coworkers. That was 23 years ago, back when code actually had to work the first time because there was no IT help desk in the middle of the Pacific. Quinn was the new CTO, a 32-year-old Stanford MBA wrapped in a $2,000 suit and carrying the kind of confidence that only comes from never having your system crash at 3 a.m. while you're responsible for keeping a warship's communications online. He strutted into our conference room like he owned the place, which technically he did now, but he didn't know about the fine print. I was sitting in my usual corner spot, nursing lukewarm coffee from my Navy mug and watching him survey the room through my reading glasses. Been with this company for 7 years as a contractor, which in tech years makes me a fossil. I'm the guy who built the network infrastructure that keeps this place breathing. But to Quinn, I was just some old-timer in a flannel shirt who looked like he belonged in a garage fixing carburetors instead of managing server farms. You know what I mean? In the Navy, we had a saying, never trust a lieutenant who's never been in rough seas. Quinn had that look, like he'd learned everything from PowerPoint presentations and had never actually felt the ship rolling under his feet when the system started failing. Listen up, team, Quinn started, clapping his hands like he was calling a college fraternity to order. I've been reviewing our architecture, and honestly, it's outdated. We're talking legacy systems that belong in a museum. We need to pivot to a cloud-native, agile ecosystem by Q4. He threw up a slide that looked like a kid's drawing of spaghetti. What he was proposing would gut the core network infrastructure I'd spent 3 years building. That legacy system he was talking about, that was my distributed security framework. That was the system that stopped a ransomware attack in 2019 that would have cost this company $50 million in data and downtime. I'm talking about the kind of attack that makes CEOs resign and companies fold overnight. Excuse me, I said, my voice cutting through his presentation like a blade through butter. Heads turned. I hadn't spoken in a meeting in months, just sat there like furniture while they planned the future. That legacy system handles 95% of your security protocols. You delete those nodes and you're not modernizing, you're lobotomizing. Quinn turned to me with that practiced smile, the one you learn in business school right after synergy and paradigm shift. He looked at my work boots, my faded Harley-Davidson t-shirt, then checked his Apple Watch like my time was already up. I could see him calculating, old guy, probably close to retirement, probably doesn't understand modern tech. And you are? He asked, pretending he didn't know. Course he knew. I was the line item on the budget that the CFO couldn't explain but was too scared to cut. Wes Harper, I built the backbone you're trying to rip out. Quinn chuckled. It was a wet, condescending sound that reminded me of politicians laughing at veterans' benefits. Right, Wes? Look, old-timer, I appreciate what you did back in the day, but we're not running a computer museum here. We're building the future. Your dinosaur systems are holding us hostage. Old-timer. The words hung in the air like exhaust fumes from a busted muffler. The other engineers stared at their laptops, terrified of making eye contact. They knew what I was, even if Quinn didn't bother reading the contracts. Hell, most of them had come to me when their modern code broke at 2 a.m., asking me to fix what they couldn't understand. See, back in 2017, when this company was hemorrhaging money faster than a cracked radiator, they couldn't afford my consulting rate. So my lawyer, a guy named Heavy Metal Dave, who operates out of a strip mall between a pawn shop and a tattoo parlor, came up with a different arrangement. Instead of a standard contract, I incorporated as Harper Tech Solutions and licensed my network infrastructure to them. Think of it like leasing a truck. You don't own it. You just pay to use it. And like any good lease agreement, the owner keeps the keys. In the Navy, we called it maintaining operational security. You always keep a way out when you're in hostile territory. Quinn didn't know that. Quinn saw a middle-aged guy with oil under his fingernails and assumed I was some legacy hire they kept around out of pity. He thought he was firing a broken-down mechanic. He didn't realize he was trying to repo the engine while the truck was still running. Okay, Quinn, I said, leaning back in my chair until it creaked. My voice stayed level, the way we were trained to stay calm when the sonar picked up something that shouldn't be there. You're the boss. Cloud native, agile, got it. Exactly, he smirked, turning back to his nonsense diagram like he'd just solved world hunger. We'll be sunsetting the old modules immediately. HR will handle some restructuring to align with our new vision. Restructuring. Corporate speak for firing anyone who remembered how to keep the lights on. Same thing happened on every ship I served, on minus new officers. Came aboard thinking they could improve everything, never realizing the old salts kept the engines running through pure knowledge and stubbornness. I didn't argue, I didn't throw my coffee at him, even though my hand twitched toward the mug. I just sat there watching him talk about bandwidth optimization and digital transformation. Buzzwords falling out of his mouth like loose change from a torn pocket. My pulse stayed steady. That's the thing about Navy training, you don't panic when the rookie starts playing with the depth charges. You just check your watch and calculate the damage radius. I pulled out my phone and checked the calendar. My licensing contract auto-renewed every quarter unless disputed. Next payment was due in 5 days. Section 4 of my contract was crystal clear about what happened if the client attempted to modify, bypass, or disparage the integrity of the licensed infrastructure. And Section 6 minus, that was the nuclear option. The kind of clause Heavy Metal Dave called the insurance policy nobody wants to use. After Quinn wrapped up with his usual let's crush it nonsense and stormed out to probably practice his TED talk in the mirror, I stayed in my seat finishing my cold coffee. Cody, one of the junior devs I'd trained not to fat finger production deployments, looked over at me with wide eyes. Kid reminded me of the young sailors I used to train, eager, scared, and smart enough to know when the ship was heading for rocks. Whiz, he whispered, glancing around like Quinn might materialize out of thin air. You okay? He's going to cut you. I crushed the styrofoam cup and tossed it into recycling with the precision of a man who'd learned to conserve everything on a destroyer. Don't worry about me, kid. Just make sure your resume's updated, and maybe start backing up your personal files. The look in his eyes told me he understood. In the Navy, we called it reading the weather, knowing when a storm was coming, even when the sky looked clear. I walked back to my corner desk and logged into my private admin console, not the company one, the one running on a hardened server in my garage back home. Quinn wanted a revolution. He was about to get a systems failure that would make the Titanic look like a minor navigation error. The freeze-out started subtle, like rust creeping through an old exhaust pipe. First, the calendar invites stopped coming. The weekly infrastructure review dropped off my schedule faster than a depth charge sinking to the ocean floor. Then the security briefings disappeared. I was sitting 10 feet away from the conference room, watching Quinn hold court through the glass, pointing at whiteboards that used to have my network diagrams on them. It's funny how fast you become invisible in corporate America. 7 years of midnight emergency calls, 7 years of patching vulnerabilities, while the CEO was buying his third vacation home and complaining about contractor costs. Suddenly, I was a ghost haunting my own creation. People I'd grabbed lunch with for years started avoiding eye contact in the hallway, like getting fired was some kind of contagious disease. You know how it is? Get too close to the guy with the target on his back, and management might decide you're part of the problem too. Then came Preston, the new guy. Quinn introduced him Tuesday morning with all the fanfare of a Carnival Barker team. Meet Preston Fox. He's our new infrastructure evangelist. He'll be spearheading the transition to our cloud-first architecture. Infrastructure evangelist. That's like calling a mechanic a vehicle wellness coordinator. Preston looked like he just graduated from a coding boot camp yesterday, all shiny and optimistic. He came over to my desk carrying a matcha latte. Not coffee, mind you, but some green foam that probably cost more than my lunch. Kid looked like a puppy who just chewed up your favorite shoes but still thinks he's a good boy. Hey Wes, right? Preston beamed, practically vibrating with enthusiasm. Quinn mentioned you're our legacy historian. I'd love to pick your brain about the old systems before we deprecate them. Legacy historian. Deprecate. Corporate speak for old guy who built stuff we don't understand but want to throw away anyway. I swiveled my chair around slow, the way I used to turn to face junior officers who thought they knew better than the chief petty officer. Preston, I said, keeping my voice level, you ever configure a load balancer from scratch? He blinked like I'd asked him to explain quantum physics in Swahili. Well, conceptually, yeah. We use AWS for that, right? It's all serverless now. Super scalable serverless, I repeated, turning back to my monitors. The kid had no idea that serverless just meant someone else's servers, running in warehouses that catch fire if you don't optimize your queries properly, right? Because the cloud is magic fairy dust floating in the sky, not actual hardware running in data centers that need cooling power and people who know how to fix them when they break. He wandered off looking confused, probably wondering why the old-timer wasn't more excited about the future. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. He was walking into a minefield with a map drawn by someone who'd never seen combat. By Thursday, my access to the staging environment was revoked. Got a generic system email, permissions updated by admin QB, Quinn Bradshaw making his mark like a dog marking territory. I didn't fight it. I didn't storm into his office demanding explanations like some hot-headed ensign. I just opened my personal laptop, the beat-up Lenovo that held the keys to the kingdom, and checked the bank account for HarperTech Solutions. It was the first of the month. The quarterly licensing fee for my network infrastructure was due at midnight Pacific time, automatic withdrawal like clockwork for 7 years straight. Usually, their finance department had it on autopay, but with all the restructuring going on, things were getting overlooked. I refreshed the banking page. No pending transaction. Refreshed again an hour later. Still nothing. I sat there in my little corner of their empire, blue glow of the monitor reflecting in my reading glasses, feeling that familiar calm that comes before a storm. The same feeling I used to get when sonar picked up something that shouldn't be there, not panic, just cold professional focus. They were ghosting the payment. In their supreme arrogance, they assumed that since I had a desk and a company email address, they owned everything I'd built over the years. They thought they owned me, so they figured they owned the infrastructure too. Big mistake. In the Navy, we had another saying. Assumption is the mother of all screw-ups. Quinn was about to get a master class in that particular truth. I pulled up the contract on my screen. I keep digital copies of everything, but the original signed version is locked in a fireproof safe at home, right next to my discharge papers and my ex-wife's divorce decree. Clause 3.1, Payment Obligations. Failure to remit licensing fees within 24 hours of due date constitutes material breach. Clause 3.2, No cure period for willful non-payment or unauthorized system modifications. Quinn had already violated the modification clause by trying to patch his cloud services onto my core infrastructure without authorization keys. Now he was about to violate the payment clause too. It was like watching someone cut the wrong wire on a bomb. You know exactly what's going to happen, but there's a certain professional curiosity about whether they'll figure it out before everything explodes. I could have walked into his office right then. Could have said, "Hey, hotshot, you're about to default on the network that runs your entire operation." But then I remembered Old Timer. I remembered how he laughed when he called my work dinosaur systems like I was some relic from the Stone Age instead of the guy who kept their digital infrastructure from collapsing. So I let the clock tick. In the Navy, we called it giving them enough rope. Some officers had to learn the hard way that the chief petty officer wasn't just being difficult. He actually knew what he was talking about. Friday at 4 p.m., HR sent me a calendar invite for 4:30. Subject, quick sync. Location, conference room B. This was it, the classic Friday firing. Do it at the end of the day so the victim can't cause a scene, and everyone else has the weekend to forget they existed. I'd seen it before, hell, I'd been through it before at my last corporate gig. That's why I went contractor in the first place. I started packing my personal stuff. Not much, a few photos of my kids at their high school graduations, my Navy coffee mug with the USS Enterprise logo, and a small cactus that had somehow survived the office's recycled air for 3 years. I wiped my company laptop clean using a military-grade scrubber program that would make NSA data recovery specialists weep. Not because I had anything to hide, but because I'm a professional and I don't leave fingerprints on other people's hardware. I checked the bank account one last time. Still $0 pending. These idiots were actually going to default on a licensing agreement while firing the contractor who built their entire network. It was like firing your mechanic while you're driving his car. Conference room B was a glass fishbowl near the elevators, designed so everyone in the office could witness your walk of shame. Quinn was leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, probably rehearsing his nothing personal, just business speech. At the table sat Linda Rodriguez from HR. A nice woman who'd been doing damage control for incompetent executives longer than Quinn had been alive. "Have a seat, Wes," Linda said softly, using that tone people reserve for delivering bad news to cancer patients. I sat down and placed a manila folder on the table. Quinn eyed it suspiciously, probably thinking it was some desperate PowerPoint presentation to save my job. If he'd been smart enough to actually read the contracts he was supposed to manage, he'd have known better. Whiz, Quinn started, cutting off Linda before she could do her job properly. "We've been evaluating team structure and resource allocation. As we transition toward our cloud-native infrastructure, We've determined your skill set doesn't align with our current trajectory. Trajectory, I repeated, nodding slowly, like a torpedo heading for the wrong target. Quinn's jaw tightened. I could see him fighting the urge to drop the corporate speak and just tell me to get lost. We're terminating your employment effective immediately. Linda has the paperwork, standard severance package, 2 weeks compensation. We'll need your badge and company laptop. Linda slid a stack of papers across the table, like she was dealing cards at a funeral. You'll also need to sign this NDA and non-disparagement agreement to receive the severance package. I didn't touch the papers. Instead, I looked Quinn straight in the eye. Just to be crystal clear, you're terminating our professional relationship completely. No more contractor status, no more consulting, nothing. That's what fired means, old-timer Quinn snapped. The mask was finally slipping. He wanted me gone so he could reallocate my budget to hire 3 more Prestons. Copy that, I said, pulling my badge from my shirt pocket and sliding it across the table like a poker chip. Then I placed the wiped laptop next to it. I am no longer an employee or contractor of this organization. Outstanding, Quinn said, pushing off the wall with the satisfaction of a man who thought he'd just solved all his problems. Security will escort you to the parking lot. Hold that thought, I said, placing my hand on the manila folder. We're done with the employment discussion. Now we need to address the vendor relationship. Quinn frowned like I'd started speaking Mandarin. What vendor relationship? I opened the folder and spun the contract around so they could both read it. The header was clear as day, Harper Tech Solutions LLC Network Infrastructure Licensing Agreement. I don't work for you, Quinn. Never really did. Harper Tech Solutions licenses the network infrastructure that runs your security protocols, your data processing, your entire digital backbone. I was just part of the premium support package. Quinn actually laughed. He picked up the contract, barely glanced at the first page, and tossed it back down like it was junk mail. This is ancient paperwork from when we were a startup. We own everything you built while you were here. Intellectual property assignment is standard operating procedure. Actually, I said, tapping section 4 with my finger, you might want to read that more carefully. All infrastructure, architecture, and security protocols remain the sole property of Harper Tech Solutions. You folks get non-exclusive revocable usage rights, but only as long as you pay the licensing fees and follow the terms of service. I watched his eyes scan the paragraph. I could see the exact moment the words registered in his brain, but his ego refused to accept what they meant. It was like watching someone realize they'd been playing poker with a stacked deck, except they weren't the one doing the stacking. This is garbage, Quinn spat, his face turning that particular shade of red that reminded me of emergency warning lights. You were on payroll. That automatically voids any previous agreements. Check with your legal department, I said calmly. I was on a consulting retainer, structured as WS2 for tax convenience per the addendum your founder signed. But intellectual property rights, those never transferred. Harper Tech Solutions holds all patents, copyrights, and licensing authority. I stood up, straightening my jacket like I was getting ready for inspection. Here's your situation, Quinn. You just terminated the support contract. That's fine. I was getting tired of your coffee anyway. But you also defaulted on the quarterly licensing payment that was due 5 days ago. That constitutes breach of contract. I'm not paying you 1 red cent. Quinn hissed, jabbing his finger at me like it was a weapon. Get out before I call security. Roger that, I said. I walked toward the door, then paused and looked back at Linda, who was sitting there with her mouth hanging open like she'd just watched a car crash in slow motion. Linda, you might want to print hard copies of the payroll records. Computer systems can be unreliable during transitions. I fixed Quinn with one last look. Section 6, Hotshot. Unauthorized use of licensed infrastructure following breach of contract results in immediate service suspension. You've got 72 hours to cure the breach. But since you just fired the only person who knows how to maintain the system, I'd say your window just got a lot smaller. Get out. Quinn screamed, loud enough that heads turned in the outer office. I walked out past my old desk, past Preston, who was frantically typing code he didn't understand, past the break room with its terrible coffee machine. The parking lot air hit my face, warm and humid. I fired up my first cigarette in 8 months and took a long drag. Tasted like freedom with a hint of nicotine. Back home in my converted garage workshop, I set up what the military would call a command and control center. 2 monitors, secure connection, and a clear view of my neighbor Earl fighting with his ancient riding mower. I wasn't going to hack anybody. Hacking's a federal crime. What I was doing was legitimate contract enforcement. like a repo man with a computer science degree. I logged into Harper Tech Solutions' remote administrative panel. Every hour for 7 years, their servers had pinged mine asking, am I authorized to continue operations? And for 7 years, my server had replied affirmative, proceed with mission. I poured 3 fingers of Jack Daniels, no ice. It burned away the lingering taste of corporate stupidity. Saturday came and went, Sunday too. I worked on my Harley, taught my son how to change the oil in his beat-up Honda, and ignored the increasingly frantic automated alerts pinging my phone. Monday morning at 7:55 a.m., I sat down at my computer with fresh coffee and watched the countdown timer. At exactly 8 a.m. Pacific, when their transaction volume always spiked, the system ran its licensing verification. Status, breach, detected. Authorization, revoked. One by one, the status lights on my screen turned red, security protocols offline. Database access, denied, network routing, critical failure. It was beautiful, like watching a perfectly executed military operation where everything goes according to plan. 8:03 a.m. first automated alert hit my phone. Severity 1, critical outage. Core infrastructure unresponsive. Error 402, payment required. Error 402, a little joke I'd programmed years ago. HTTP status code that literally means payment required. I wondered if any of their Stanford MBAs were smart enough to Google it. 8:15 a.m. minus Cody texted me. Wiz, everything's down. Everything. Quinn's literally screaming at the server racks and kicking hardware. It's like watching a toddler have a meltdown in Best Buy. 8:47 a.m. My phone rang. Company number, I answered while feeding my dog. Wes, thank God. Quinn's voice was shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. We have a massive system failure. Everything's crashed. We think there's some kind of virus. Don't work there anymore, Quinn, I said, scratching behind Rex's ears. Remember, you fired me Friday. This isn't funny. The whole network's down. Customers can't place orders, warehouses can't ship anything, and the error messages are in some kind of code. Oh, that, I said like I just remembered leaving the stove on, the licensing system. Did you guys ever get around to paying that invoice? I told you we're not paying extortion money. It's not extortion, Quinn. It's a legitimate business expense. And since you defaulted on the agreement and terminated support services, the infrastructure automatically reverted to its locked state. Turn it back on right now or I'll sue you for everything you've got. Quinn, I said, my voice dropping to that cold, professional tone I'd learned dealing with panic-stricken junior officers, you are currently operating unlicensed proprietary technology. My attorney is preparing a cease and desist order as we speak. If you attempt to bypass the security lockout, that's a DMCA violation. Federal crime. Orange jumpsuits don't go with Stanford ties. The line went quiet except for background chaos, phones ringing, people shouting, the sound of a company hemorrhaging money by the minute. What do you want? Quinn whispered. Put Howard Sterling on the phone. Now. He's in an emergency board meeting. Then drag him out because in about 10 minutes your automated payment system is going to try processing $500,000 in vendor transfers, and since the encryption keys are locked, every single transaction will fail. Your credit rating will be toilet paper by lunchtime. 20 minutes later, Howard was on the line, his usually commanding voice cracking under pressure. Wiz, we need to resolve this situation immediately. Good morning, Howard. Enjoying your emergency board meeting? We negotiated for exactly 18 minutes. Howard tried the we're family approach, then threats, then begging. Finally, reality set in. They needed my infrastructure more than I needed their attitude. 850 keys for a perpetual license transfer, I said. You buy out Harper Tech Solutions completely. You own the code, the patents, everything. I disappear from your life forever. That's highway robbery. That's 1% of what my system saved you during the 2019 cyber attack, plus a premium for breach of contract and general stupidity. Take it or leave it. 1 hour later, the wire transfer hit my account. I updated the licensing system, pushed the unlock codes, and watched their infrastructure come back online. Then I sent one final email to Quinn. The keys are under the mat. Try not to burn the house down. P.S. Next time you want to call someone old-timer, make sure you actually own the timer. 6 months later, I was sitting in Garrett Webb's office at Apex Systems, Sterling Industries' biggest competitor. They offered me $180K plus equity to build them a network infrastructure that would make Sterling's system look like a calculator made of Lego blocks. Heard you torched Sterling Industries and then sold them fire insurance, Garrett said with a grin. just enforced a contract. Strictly business. Today, I'm writing this from my new workshop, twice the size of the old garage. My daughter just got accepted to MIT with her college fund fully paid. My son's learning network architecture from his old man. And yeah, I'm teaching him about reading contracts too. Quinn? Last I heard, he transitioned to new opportunities in blockchain consulting. Corporate speak for got fired and is now selling crypto to people who don't know better. As for me, I've got a date with a glass of aged bourbon and a motorcycle that needs its carb rebuilt. Sometimes justice tastes like Jack Daniels and sounds like a Harley engine turning over on the first kick. Remember, gentlemen, always read the fine print. And if someone calls you old-timer, make sure you hold the keys to their kingdom first. The thing about being underestimated is this. Let them think you're just another old-timer counting days to retirement. Let them believe experience is worthless and youth knows everything. Because when the system finally breaks down, when their fancy theories meet cold reality, they'll come crawling back to the guy who built it right the first time. And that's when you get to name your price.